Good evening again on day 4 of the European Championships. Tonight I'm covering Spain as they play Sweden. That's not to underestimate Sweden. No guesses for who got further in the FIFA World Cup 3 years ago. But the Spanish are on home soil, and despite injury and health-related issues in their squad, they've still got a great starting 11. As do Sweden, even though their normal captain Andreas Granqvist is not in the team tonight, of course. Very old, but we'd still like him as a locker room presence. More on the lineups in a bit. Now, of course, we have the just waiting for the coverage to get underway from Seville. Spain playing all 3 of their group matches in Sevilla. Indeed, you have no Sevilla players in the starting 11. I remember looking at the back line. It's 4 different clubs. The goalkeeper from another different club altogether. Former Sevilla players like Pablo Sarabia in the starting 11. No Sevilla players in the squad tonight, at least. Of course, Spain will be the favourites, but they are known for maybe starting off solidly at tournaments and slipping away as they continue. At least that's their recent trend. If you discount the Confederations Cup, who would have thought that when Casillas lifted the Henri Delaunay Trophy in Kiev in 2012, so nearly 9 years ago, they would not have won a single knockout game since then. Of course, Spain are certain to reach the knockouts. You wouldn't necessarily bet money on that. Well, you would, but you wouldn't get great returns. So for Spain, that should be a simple enough task. The matter is how far they could go beyond that. And we're about to get our first answers as to what their strengths are and how well they will get through the tournaments. Sweden not just without Granqvist, but of course without Ibrahimovic, who had to undergo surgery, so he is going to play no part in this tournament. It's a shame. That could have been his bow out of international football. Much better than when he didn't score and Sweden amassed just 1 goal and 1 point in Euro 2016 in France. However, they've got some. You've got a good experience, a mixture of good, a good mixture of experience and youth in their striker duo. Sweden with no missing players. Not only do Spain have a finished squad, but of course Busquets out. I think, however, the replacement they've chosen will be absolutely fine. And of course, another interesting aspect of Spain's play tonight is the arrival of the first ever tournament appearance of Aymeric Laporte, the left-footed centre-back, who of course was a French international, but never played a game under Didier Deschamps. Ironically, the one time he was called up, or I think both times he got called up, he then pulled off injured, so he wasn't going to play anyway. Now he's been picked for Spain, immediately starting. Spain probably the only team in the tournament to have 2 left-footed centre-backs in their back line. He obviously couldn't pick between Pau Torres and Laporte, so he went for both of them. Also have the likes of Diego Llorente, Eric Garcia on the bench. Azpilicueta can play a centre-back in a back 3 as well. I know I'm naughty. I haven't filled in my my wall planner. I haven't filled in my wall planner that much just yet. get around to that. The problem is I can't really stand up straight on top of my bed. I have to crouch over. Not great for my back. That should be underway in about 5 minutes' time. Well, for me at least. For you guys, my stream will be delayed. My live stream might be delayed, so it might be a bit further, close to 7 or even 8 minutes away for you guys watching. If you were tracking the match through my stream. La Cartuja in Seville has hosted some really interesting high-profile matches in the past. It's hosted. It actually hosted a very infamous match a few months ago when Spain faced Germany and demolished them 6-0. I think I was thinking of another stadium in Seville which hosted the Champions League final, then the European Cup in the mid-80s. But this is also hosted the World Athletics Championships, which might explain the bigger distance between the stands and the football pitch itself. Players finally coming out of the tunnel for the national anthems. And first, I believe, is going to be Du Gamla Du Fria, Swedish national anthem. And of course, iconic across the world, no lyrics, usually. La Marcha Real for Spain. Interesting. None of the players sung any lyrics, as I imagined, but you could hear a lot of fans in the stadium singing some form of lyrics. I don't know if it was their own or older lyrics for the national anthem. Alexander Schäferin, UEFA's president, in attendance in Seville tonight. It's not David De Gea, it's Unai Simon of Athletic Bilbao in goal tonight for Spain. Jordi Alba captains the side. Rodri fills in for Busquets. Either side of him, Koke and Pedri of Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, respectively. You have Dani Olmo and Ferran Torres, the youngster from Manchester City, opposite Alvaro Morata, who many were upset with following a poor finishing display in a friendly against Portugal. Surprise, surprise, finished 0-0 that one for the second time in a row. Slavko Vincic of Slovenia is the referee tonight, as Sebastian Larsson, Sweden's captain, meets with Jordi Alba. Fist bumps, not handshakes tonight. As for Sweden, Robin Olsen, as usual, you'd expect him in goal. There's some familiar faces in the back line, not just Lindelof, but Lustig and Augustinsson. Ekdal and Olsen in the middle. Overside and captain Larsson. And on the left of him is Emil Forsberg. Really capable attacking midfielder from RB Leipzig. Albeit one who has to deal with injuries from time to time. And the experienced Marcus Berg alongside Alexander Isak as the two striker partnership. No Dejan Kulusevski in Sweden's not even on the bench tonight, interestingly. They have the likes of Quaison, Claesson, Jordan Larsson, Emil Krafth, not an attacking player, but English fans will recognise him. He makes the odd appearance for Newcastle United. Pontus Jansson of Brentford, once of Leeds United, also on the bench tonight for the Swedes. Sweden have not reached the knockout stages of the European Championship since 2004. So while they're the underdogs tonight, given their recent performances, even though they sometimes struggle for goals, with or without someone like Ibrahimovic, I wouldn't put it past them to surprise the Spanish, even though last time these two sides met on Spanish soil, Spain comfortably won that 3-0. That was essentially, or pretty much exactly 2 years ago to the day, in qualification for this very tournament. And there's a young fan in support of one of the youngest players at the tournament for Pedri. I think he's still 18 years of age. I think the kickoff has been delayed because looks like the officials are attending to an issue with the goal net at Sweden's end. I think they're worried that it's not connected to the frame of the goal properly. And of course, that's how certain goal goals have been scored. Many will remember there was a pretty infamous one in the Bundesliga, I think involving Stefan Kiesling a handful of years ago. And we're off. The sun is setting in Seville, but it's the beginning of a new tournament for these two teams now. Sweden could well surprise, and Spain expected to go very far in the competition, even though, of course, infamously haven't won a knockout game in a tournament since 2013 in the Confederations Cup. If you discount that, the final of this tournament in 2012 when they beat Italy 4-0. As I said, on that very night, who would have expected them? 9 years on, still yet to win a knockout game at a major competition. Koke. Many are very, very happy to see him in the Atletico side, in the Spain side, sorry. Brings a lot of energy, work rate, leadership. Spain have a lot of great technical midfielders. It's not that Koke is not technical, but it's not the first thing you'd associate him with. And Spain looking to play through, I think Morata, but, well, again, you have a lot of low blocks at the tournaments. And Sweden quickly see that off. Now Sweden tries to retain possession up the pitch. Ball definitely being played along the ground, much more than in other games I've seen. Often it's knocked around through the air out of play. Hardly the case in the couple of minutes so far in the game. Probably more on Spain's part, but it's refreshing, I'll give you that. Eric Laporte, I'm sure, also adds leadership and commitment. Yes, he's made mistakes in big games, but he has certainly improved defensive solidity in Guardiola's Manchester City side. Dropped this season, but of course it was more a chemistry issue than a performance one. For John Stones. John Stones potentially out of the tournament with a leg injury. However, it might not be particularly serious. Either way, England winning their open game gives them a lot of options. With their last two games, you think on paper being much easier. And that's a nice cross. And it's headed out of play and behind. And, well, it was a bit too high for Dani Olmo. But it's the first corner for the Spanish. La Roja. And Lindelof didn't have a lot to deal with it, and I don't feel that the clearance from the number 2 defender for Sweden, Lustig, was particularly necessary. Spain, just like some of their most famed clubs, hosting many of their best players, controlling the ball already, regardless of the situation. Even after a set piece or corner, they were already playing their next move. And some really nice technical one-touch passes through the box so far from the Spanish. To the point where it's Sweden are finding it hard to keep up with it. Encouraging. Not just for Spain, but the fans in the stadium who will want to watch an attractive game of football, although that is never really the necessary ingredient for winning international tournaments with so few games and so few goals. Defence is definitely the priority, understandably. Morata dropping deep to receive the ball. Of course, many will remember that here's bit of a mix-up there in the box for Sweden. It's a nice cross, but wasn't the most threatening actually, but again, another ball played inside their fullbacks. And they weren't sure what to do with it. Eventually it's cleared behind for another corner. I'm saying that, of course, Spain have had difficulties. Even they have had issues against low blocks. Like against, of course, their last game at a major tournament, Russia in Moscow, 2018. Couldn't break down Spain's defence, only scoring through an own goal. And then, of course, succumbing on penalties. I hope for something better this summit. And they've got it in the box, and it's over the top. I think it was Olmo who flashed that over. So far, Spain doing everything right. Yep, he found space and shots, but it wasn't particularly memorable. Luis Enrique taking lessons from Marcelo Bielsa in how to react on the touchline. Just sit and reflect. I think he's on some kind of drinks box or ice box. Thomas Tuchel last summer didn't have a choice when he was injured during a training session, and carried out his plans for the Champions League final in Portugal last year. Still doing that, but I'm sure Enrique's just doing that because he prefers it. Tuchel didn't really have a choice. Again, people questioning Enrique's ability, some debating it was he only won the Champions League with Barcelona in 2015 because of the quality of his team. Others remarked that, well, Messi, Neymar, Suarez, could you really put them together into a single attack and make them click? People saying that they were too good individually. There were certain things about it which would make the attack fail to work, and yet for the best part of 2 years, they contended for the greatest attacking trident, or the best group of attackers club football had ever seen. Surely that couldn't all been down to them. Sometimes a bit of credit has to go to the coach. Certainly a good motivator. He's definitely inspired to recharge and motivate his men. I certainly think he's a better coach than a lot given credit for. As for Janne Andersson, Sweden's coach, '59 years old in September, from Halmstad, and he usually played as usually was an assistant manager or a player manager for large parts of his career. Became a full-time manager with Halmstad in 2004, and then went up to Norrköping in 2011, and then took over the national team following yet another failure at a tournament, Euro 2016. Very much with making a lot from a little. His first tournament's a success. Wouldn't be surprised if this one followed similarly. A lot of football to be played though. And this tournament has had, like any other, its upsets, which even the most dedicated of predictors would have struggled to imagine at first. Sometimes for the wrong reasons, but we won't get into that tonight. Spain not as penetrating as they were a few minutes ago. And is that a free kick? It is. Spain will have a set piece to deliver from. Again, Dani Olmo, a key player in how it all came about. And Koke stands over it, as will, I imagine, Jordi Alba. It will be Koke. And Sweden able to clear it, but Spain finds it at their feet again. And we're back where we were a couple of minutes ago. Spain again trying to gently get the ball down into the final third. Foul by Olsen. Christopher Olsen, that is. And for those who don't remember Jonas Olsen, Martin Olsen is not in the team tonight. Jonas Olsen retired, of course. Lovely ball in. And despite having been confined to their own area for most of the game so far, Sweden, like many of the other more defensive teams at this tournament, I'll say, haven't had too many issues. Feels like Spain's going to have to do something really special to score. All the way back to Unai Simon. If you're a statsman like me, you'll see, at least in the 1920 club season, he was one of the strongest shot stoppers in terms of how many goals he prevented against how many goals he was expected to. And still a very young man. Simon is, well, he's 24. I thought he was a lot younger than that. My apologies. And of course, you also have, alongside David De Gea, you have Robert Sanchez, who is a few months younger. Some people wondered if he would start for Spain at this tournament, but I guess Enrique decided that would be too much pressure on the even younger man, younger goalkeeper. Spain keep passing the ball around the back, around their midfield. Just waiting for something to happen in their final thirds. A mistake which is probably not going to come from Sweden, to be honest. It will have to be something which they couldn't find at the World Cup that often. A really clever pass. They did that quite often in the Nations League. They have of course, have had extraordinary displays against the likes of Croatia and Germany in the Nations League tournaments, at least different versions of them. Beautiful ball, and kept out fantastically by Robin Olsen. Lovely save. The best Spain have produced so far, the best anyone has produced in the game at this point. I think Danny Olmo was onside. Murata wanted it too. Sorry, that's not Olmo. That's not Murata. That's Ferran Torres, I think. Spain take the corner short. Albert again trying to cross it in. But the first real chance, the first truly dangerous opportunity of the game for either side. Alba. Olmo. Deeper than he's usually been in this game. Pau Torres. Who won the, or is that Pedri? I've often been really bad at picking out players' numbers. Alvaro Morata again, going very deep, but making the run into the area now. I floated over the top, and that goes out for a goal kick, I think. But again, just a couple of better controlled touches away from something even more promising for the host country. If Spain continue at this rate, if they continue creating chances, not to jinx them, but I definitely wouldn't bet against them scoring. Indeed, while they have struggled for goals in a number of games, since when have Spain not scored at least one in a tournament? Of course, you remember they were eliminated from the World Cup in 2014, scoring nothing against Chile, and only scoring from the penalty spot against the Netherlands, although they created some other good chances in that match. Euro 2016, they scored in all three of their group matches, but only one goal in two matches, and then eventually knocked out against Italy, scoring nothing. In 2018 World Cup, they scored 3 goals against Portugal, once against Iran and twice against Morocco, and then once against Russia. Spain have got some good options going forward with this attack. Nice touches from Ferran Torres. And I think Llorente was trying to release that, but there was no one there to receive it. Went right to the boots of a Swedish player, and I think the offside flag is up. It's a fantastic floated ball, and Olmo didn't. It wasn't the most powerful of headers from Olmo, but Olsen had to react quickly to keep it out. There is Enrique struggling to remain patient at this stage of the game already. And again, Sweden haven't fully dropped back yet, so if Spain play a clever pass now, they might have something. It's probably too late, actually. Sweden settling back. Isak and Berg trying to press Spain centre-backs, but Pau Torres and Aymeric Laporte aren't ones to make mistakes like that so easily. That said, Laporte has made mistakes in Champions League matches. And Sweden have a free kick. Brought down by Pedri. Now, I was live streaming the England-Croatia game yesterday, and I said that there hadn't been many first-half goals at this point. There have been a few more games, and both of the games today so far have had first-half goals. Only one apiece. Still better than nothing. Poland even scoring immediately after the half-time restart in their match against Slovakia, albeit going on to lose it For a wonderfully taken Miller and Skriniar shot from a Slovakia corner. And now Sweden have the ball further up the pitch and will be able to do this that often, so I'm sure they'll try and make the most of this opportunity. So often it's the right back who will have the chance to throw it in. It's not actually a right back, right-sided centre back. It's Lindelof with the throw. And the very wild and ambitious attempt at the volley is high, high, high over the bar. And we have another replay of that Olmo chance. It was a difficult header, even though it was a nice key pass. It was a hard header to keep down, and given his lack of height and maybe inexperience of heading the ball, since height is not his advantage, I suppose Olmo did relatively well. It's not the result that's wanted, but plenty of time still. Still 17 minutes to go. Albert. Some nice clever passes. Just wide from Koke. Many Spain fans still jubilant, and they have every reason to be at this stage. If it was 20 minutes to go, as opposed to 20 minutes played, maybe there'd be less reason. At this point, having only really been threatened once or twice, there's no way of knowing how much Spain's defence has been tested. Unai Simon. For a rare bit of pressure, I'd say, from the centre forwards. As Llorente from right back presses the ball well upfield. Oh, but it's played poorly and it's back to Sweden. Spain press and win it back though. Okay, to Rodri. Former club teammates. Used to forget that a couple of years ago Rodri was at Atletico Madrid, and after just a year there, snapped up by Manchester City. And he's been absolutely excellent for them. Not an excellent pass. And the mustard shirts of Sweden have it back, and Morata goes down and has won a free kick. Given away by Akdal. Taken quickly. Here's Torres. Ball at the byline and excellent clearance behind. And Olsen down. Arms around his head. Hopefully nothing worse than a small cut. Absolutely nothing worse than what that Czech Republic player injured earlier today. Or was it the Scottish player? I can't remember. Olsen has not been cut, but certainly strained something. Corner floated in again. Sweden beat it away. And Spain have robbed the ball in a potentially dangerous area, and again a Sweden head in the way. The emphasis on positioning, as with so many of these defensive teams, has usually been very solid. that. 80% possession for Spain. It is quite something. As, in the end, possession stats are impressive, but not ever really an indicator of who's the better team, who's more likely to attack, who's more likely to shoot, sure, but, well, if your defence, like Sweden's, is marshalled well enough, possession ain't really that special a statistic, in my opinion. Shots against possession, that is different. If you're asking this broadcaster who we'd like to see come off the bench, I feel, and especially if considering it's not been that bad, the Adama Traore would be interesting, although I feel he would be better against a higher line, I suppose. But Mikel Oyarzabal of Real Sociedad would also be very welcome on the pitch. Intercepted well by Sweden, but very quickly won back by Spain. 27 minutes played so far. Laporte. Back to fellow left-footed centre-back partner Torres, Torres. Ball drifts out of play. Yes, indeed, it is a container for water bottles. Don't take too many of them, Enrique. Whichever or other players will want them to. Here's Olmo. Low ball. Oh. And Koke, it wasn't the easiest chance again, but Koke understandably frustrated. But he couldn't do better with that one. It was a really menacing ball on the floor, and I guess it arrived too quickly for Koke, but indeed he would have hoped for more. I guess, yes. It was bobbling and he tried to raise his legs, but in the end skied it, rather than directing that past Olsen. Makes you wonder if Spain do need to change their attacking options. It's likely Morata will start, and if Olmo really has been that effective against low blocks, who would also work? Who if someone needs to replace Torres, who should take his place? So Oyarzabal, well, he plays on the left, just like Olmo. But Adama Traore, I suppose. It's just speculation. I'm just speculating, just having fun. Don't take me seriously. Laporte. Up to Alba. Sometimes Pedri appears to play outwards more as, if not a Mazzala, as a wing back to allow Jordi Alba to overlap. Llorente, Marcos Llorente, into Torres. And I suppose Spain's defence, as it historically has been the case, especially since Luis Aragonés took over 15 years ago, is that possession is their form of defence. If the opposition ever receive the ball, they're in useless situations, and you can quickly win it back. And Spain trying to break into the penalty area, another low ball, and It comes off, I think, Murata last for a goal kick. It almost feels as though, to an extent, Spain's players are unfamiliar with each other. I mean, it happens a lot in international football. Less games played between each other as teammates. But still, it's not the same sort of cohesion we've seen from, say, Italy in the opening game of the tournament. Could even be a bit like England. I guess England's issue is not cohesion, but more energy and continuously creating threatening chances. But I feel like England and Spain will grow over the course of the tournament if they get that far, of course. Some teams are just ready to make an impact, and you can be punished and eliminated just like that. Again, Spain playing the ball across the back line, waiting for an opening. Not necessarily the best way of doing it, but it's safer than doing it through the midfield or out wide, I suppose. So that's a Koke. Plenty of space for him to whip across in. Or maybe a nice ball like that. And Olsen gets it just in time. Immensely frustrating for Marcos Llorente, who has been in a great goal-scoring form for Atletico Madrid. And this is the chemistry we expect from teammates. Llorente and Koke played alongside each other a lot at Atletico Madrid this season. A rare instance of Spain winning the ball in their own half, and before long it will be back in Sweden's in due course. Llorente's role is very interesting because he's playing at right back, but I imagine Enrique's confidence in Spain having possession is so high that I guess Llorente is not really playing as a right back, but more of a wing back or right midfielder, as he does for Atletico. Very Cruyffian sort of tactic, that's. Good recovery from Spain there. Port couldn't control it. And I wonder how much Laporte is comfortable playing on the right side of the fence as usual. With most defenders will play left-sided defenders will always play on the left because there's far less of them around. In fact, still more often you're more likely to have a right-sided centre-back than a left-sided one. But imagine having a left-sided centre-back on the right, much more infrequent, given that only a quarter of footballers are left-footed. At least that's the data I was given. My own research, actually. Large data set, though. Here's Llorente again. And Berg has won this ball. Bounces off a Spanish player for a Swedish throw-in. Exactly the work Sweden will have wanted. And the fans are in high approval. Maybe a rare bit of action from the men in mustard. I imagine that's a nickname that's going to catch on with me. I hope they don't mind. Especially since I have a Swedish lineage myself. Oh! Turnover by Simon for a Swedish corner. And you can see what it means to Sweden. This is probably one of the best opportunities they'll get if they, or at least this is one of the best forms of chance creation they'll get, less likely from open play, especially against such a ball-dominant team like Spain, but from a set piece. Forsberg to take. And glance wide. And out of danger. So Spain have a free kick. Regardless, even if Spain only ends up, if Sweden score only one goal tonight, that in itself would be quite something. Show that they've, against some of the toughest possession-based opponents, they should handle things a lot better. But Spain are again trying to cut through the defence with Alba. Torres and back to Laporte. Oh, great chance, and surely a goal! No! Alvaro Morata. It's a familiar story, sadly too familiar with Morata. His hold-up play can be fantastic, but the end product, when it really matters, can be found wanting, and there it is. And it was an excellent ball from Morata. I guess the punchline is that Barcelona too, at one point Real Madrid, maybe this still doesn't go. There's yet again a chance has gone begging, surely. With all the chances he's failed to convert, Morata will find a goal at some point. But maybe not before Sweden. Alexander Isak. Can't control it. And it's back with Llorente. I wonder if Olsen's positioning put Morata off a little bit. Regardless, that's still a chance he will have hoped to have converted from. With no other defensive players around him whatsoever. Here's Torres. He goes from distance, but it's not a particularly venomous shot and easily gathered by Robin Olsen. Simon has to watch it. And again, really nicely taken in possession, Spain. Llorente now, is he going to cut more inwards? He has indeed played as a lone defensive midfielder. Well, that was his original position. He even filled in for Casemiro at Real Madrid before Atletico signed him. Offside against Spain. And it was a really nice casual pass from Alba, missed by the centre-back. And also did as good as he could, try to impede Inez, Luis Enrique's reaction. I could see as we cut to him that he didn't look. He was quite clearly showing his distaste at that, and I was expecting more him to be more enraged there. Maybe that will come later in the game if Spain continue to fail to convert. Maybe a chance for Sweden. Here's Isak. He's still got the ball under his feet, and it's off. Oh. think that seemed to hit Llorente and onto the post. And like Murata, Isak is known for wasting the occasional sitter. That's not to say that he's a poor forward. Quite excellent, in fact. I'm not surprised that a lot of clubs are interested in signing Isak. His movement, amongst other things, so important. It's not just about scoring goals, you know. Maybe there's too much emphasis on that. Sweden looking to break forward again. But it's quickly intercepted. And again, Spain play out the back. But good chances from both sides. Arguably the best two chances going to Spain. No, two good chances going to Spain and then a good one for Sweden. I wonder if Isak probably spent a bit too much time on the ball before striking it. With Llorente there on the line just in time. To be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure what happens, and I will be unsure until I see a replay. But the UEFA's broadcasters focusing on the action at hand as Torres tries to pick someone up. Llorente in more space. Torres. Nice ground pass. And Sweden do really well to keep that out of harm's way. Sweden winning everything in the air still. Of course, because technical players can tend to be shorter, so it's not too surprising. Torres, can he fend off the pressure from Isak? He can. And Sweden have played a lot of men forward now. Spain are trying to get numbers ahead themselves. And again, the ball into the penalty area simply doesn't find anybody. One of the easier ones for Sweden to clear. How about a shot from distance? It's blocked and goes behind for a corner. Now we finally get to see, I think, Isak's chance, hopefully. Is that a handball? I don't think it... No, I wouldn't say that Larsson should be penalised for that. He tried his best to keep it by his side. And Olsen punches it out to red shirts. So I'm going to try his shot from distance. He does. Olsen parries it away. Another really good save from the Evertonian on loan from Roma. Oh, the ball nodded down into space. But again, Sweden cover it well, and here's Isak. And I think Spain have a free kick. And that's another great long shot from Olsen. No, from Olmo and Olsen. Again with another good stop. One of those keepers where you feel maybe he's at his best playing for his country and not club. One of the few positions in football where that's a lot more frequent. So it's Koke to deliver this as well. Sweden have no trouble keeping this one away from their penalty area. And the referee blows the whistle. And yes, again, it's the, well, here we go, here's a replay of Isak's chance. Oh, it does indeed come off the post. Very fortunate for Spain. It does come off Llorente on the line. And Llorente can't help but force his leg down into the pitch, off the post, and then right, very fortuitously, into the gloves of Unai Simon. Once again, I'm a bit having cursor. It's the curse of my coverage. The third game at this tournament I'm covering in a live stream, and for the third time in a row at half time, I have to say it's goalless, as was the case between Turkey and Italy, between England and Croatia, and again at half time. Well, I need to replenish my energy sources. Half time in this match, it is Spain 0, Sweden 0. So, we're back. Darkness is starting to fall in Seville at the Estadio de la Cartuja. As usual, teams come out of the tunnel separately, not side by side. XG for the game so far, Spain about 1.5 and Sweden about 0.6, almost entirely through that Alexander Isak chance, blocked on the line by Marcos Llorente. There is a lot of pressure on Spain. No doubt they can defend okay, no doubt they can pass all right, but scoring has still remained an issue. Of course, they scored 6 in this stadium a handful of months ago against Germany. I know a lot of people will say, well, how can they score 6 against a superpower like Germany, but none against an underdog like Sweden? Well, I'll say that at the very least there's a lot of context behind that, but yes. Anderson's tactics clearly well set for international football. Sweden defeated Germany, Mexico and Switzerland en route to the World Cup quarter-finals before being defeated by England. In the Nations League they weren't as successful, losing to Croatia, Portugal and France and eliminated from their Nations League group. Spain topping theirs, defeating Germany, but also Switzerland and ultimately defeating Ukraine, but losing to them in the reverse fixture, 1-0. More down to poor finishing than anything, but it does show that against certain opponents, Spain have come unstuck before. And they'll hope, especially since Poland and Slovakia are probably going to have a similar play style in their games, that Spain can figure this out if they haven't already. And that the issues that plagued them in the previous tournament, and to a similar extent the other two in 2016 and 2014, the issues are not repeated. Jordi Alba. Now it's Olmo, tries to play a soft through ball, but Morata has fouled Lustig, carrying what seems like a knock of sorts. Not what you want a minute into the second half. And cleared upfield by Olsen. Sweden trying to make the most of the possession they have, but it's easy for Simon and Spain's defenders in the end. Into Pedri, who's effectively playing at left back to allow Alba to overlap, and again the ball inside is poor. And Sweden have no problems shutting it off, getting it back into their end. Now it's with Isak. And they've won a free kick. And there you can see the technical ability on display. Can Sweden inflict a bit of embarrassment on Spain on their own turf? It's Larsson's ball in. It's offsides. Oh, no it wasn't. And the player fell over in the area. And that has probably wasted the opportunity. Goal kick. And what was looking like a great set-piece delivery, completely squandered by Lustig. Couldn't connect with the ball very well. Missed his kick and fell over, already sacrificing his balance, trying to control the ball. That could have been really, really worrying for Spain. As I said, it could have eased. Imagine if they continue to struggle. Maybe they know that they need to step up the intensity a bit more now. But so many of their passes through aren't that good. And Morata's shots scrape wide. Simply haven't been doing so well so far, despite some very solid chances, but ultimately, well, ones that haven't been put away. Once again, Torres and Laporte exchanging the ball. Spain almost always restarting play with those two. I think a lot of teams have been doing that. We saw it with Italy, we saw it with England. And neither of those teams conceded in their opening game. Both against fancied opposition. And that is obviously Spain's problem. Maybe it is not the issue of creating chances. They are creating chances. It is more an issue of finding the right players to finish them. Sometimes Morata drops too deep. Sometimes Morata can't finish. Alba's cross though, and headed out again. And Spain skipper for the night with a quick throw in. Olmo tries another one of those through balls into the area, but again, not successful. Pedri. Still going, fantastic control from Pedri. Rodri now, back to the centre-backs. Rodri to, for now, City teammate Laporte. There's rumours Laporte is potentially moving. Barcelona, the latest club he's rumoured to go to. Dangerous ball over the top, but it's no big deal for Robin Olsen. And that could be Spain's issue. They simply have had issues finishing. And again, similarly, Sweden haven't had didn't make the most of their chance. Ends it off again with the throw-in into Spain's penalty area. Or can they keep it out? Spain, no, they can't. But Sweden playing it back, and they find themselves in their own half in no time again. And before long, it's back with Albert. Out of danger, or so you'd think. Sweden again forward with Lustig. They've won a throw-in again. Yellow card showing. So I believe Lustig, I imagine for something he said, or maybe even for time wasting. And flag goes up. It's actually for an infringement on Alba, who seems to go down a little easily. But there was a lot of force, not questioning that. Torres, Alba. My apologies, that's Pedri. Alba's in the overlapping. Alba's overlapping again. And Alba looking to cross again. Again blocked for another throw. Pedri wants to cross, gives it back to his Barcelona teammates. Laporte. Now to Llorente. Koke. Koke, that's a nice ambitious touch. Doesn't go anywhere though. Austin spending as much time as possible, and in the end, it's a terrible punt. It's out of play. Acknowledges it was a bad misjudgment. See some of Spanish fans wearing kits from those glory years of 10 years ago. Most prominently the World Cup of 2010. I saw I think it was an Iniesta shirt. People remark how Spain's quality still isn't that good, but you have to remember this is still a good group of Spanish players. In certain areas, you still have players who would certainly make the golden generation squads of a decade ago. I'd say Laporte, absolutely. Maybe even someone like Koke or Alba. Alba was in Spain's Euro 2012 squad back then at Valencia. And it's another poor ball. And really well managed by Sweden, but at the last minute it's punted out for a throw-in. And another one. And Spain will want to release this quickly. But Sweden already retreating back. And Alba's there again. The cross is deflected. It's straight back at him. Sweden have it. And we'll try and break now. And that's a brilliant ball from Isak. And it's Alexander Isak again. He's closed down. Fantastic feet. And in the end, intercepted just in time. Goal kick, I think. The live stream I'm watching from is so laggy I've decided to refresh it. I'm absolutely fed up. It's been doing this since half time ended. We are now on the hour mark. I've refreshed my live stream. The lag. Live lag has not gone away. And I can't have no way of changing the quality. So it's just going to keep lagging for the rest of the game, isn't it? Torres. Back to Laporte. Pedri. Very simple, elegant ball. Again, no one on the end of it. And I think Enrique is definitely ready to make a change of sorts. Thiago Alcantara of Liverpool warming up. There's a lot of space and a lot of grass by the pitch and the technical area for the players to warm up. Again, Spain's simple one-touch, sometimes quite direct passing. It's not paid dividends so many times tonight. Rasa heads it away, but to his Swedish player, Alexander Isak again. His acceleration and drive on the ball. And he's right with Aymeric Laporte, and he's deemed not to have fouled him. And Spain very quickly get it away. And this will be so disappointed he can't dwell on those feelings for too long, I suppose. And, Arata couldn't keep it in play as it looks like Alcantara is coming on. Does look like a foul to me, but it's very fine margins. Anderson agrees with me. And considering that it was quite close to Spain's goal, should Laporte have been carded if it was indeed a foul? As Pablo Sarabia comes on, as does Thiago. Thiago wearing the number 10 shirts, coming on for Rodri. And Morata is coming off as well. I imagine it will be Torres who plays more centrally. Yes, another Torres in the centre forward role, but it's Ferran Torres. Almost stays on, understandably. He's been creating some of Spain's much more lethal chances in the game so far. Although I wonder who the deepest midfielder would be. One would hope it's not Thiago, if you're Spanish. He didn't do particularly well in the deepest midfield role when he went at Liverpool. Once Fabinho moved back into that role. And Alcantara moved up the pitch. The whole team, player and team, benefited. And there was talk at half-time of Spain tiring down Sweden. It looks like it could be the other way around because Sweden have definitely been looking more up for it as the clock ticks away. Now we're halfway through the second half. Certainly not going to be 80% possession to Spain by the end of this game. Sweden ready to make changes. It's a captain against captain incident there. Marcos Llorente. Olmo. Pedri. The present and past of Barcelona, of course. Olmo, a Barcelona academy project going to Dinamo Zagreb in Croatia. And that header's not controlled very well. And it's volleyed, but not particularly well by Olmo. As Berg is coming off, robbing Quaison is also on, as well as Clayson. It's Victor Clayson who's coming on for Isak. I'm not sure why Isak is coming off. He's been one of Sweden's very best players. His momentum when he breaks through Spain's line has been devastating. And I'd say that he'll be understandably disappointed if he doesn't end up scoring in this tournament because he's been very deadly. Very enjoyable to watch, I'll say. Nice ball upfield, but Simon reverses into his penalty area, and from there it's no issue whatsoever for him. But to Olmo again. Now it's Torres, Laporte. Llorente. Alcantara already. Swedish players trying to mark him, and he's won a free kick. But Spain don't do a set piece, they decide to take it quickly. And they've won it. The shot is blocked. Alba. Olmo. And the free kick goes to Sweden. And it's Ekdal, I think, who's down. Yes. Now, that was even if it was handball in that replay, it was Lindelof blocking it. That was outside the area, so it would have at worst for Sweden been a free kick. Chested down by Simon. It's Olmo. Again, good positioning from Sweden. Torres. So much of the play going through Jordi Alba. Thiago switches it out to Torres. But again, before Spain can find a man in the box, Swedish player is there, and the attack is snuffed out. And here's Olmo. He'll volley. It's deflected and gathered by Olsen. And Spain might be reaching a point where they're maybe feeling a little bit fed up. How have none of their chances been converted? Ultimately, it is down to great defensive work from the Swedes, no doubt, but you do wonder how much of this is Spain's poor finishing. I wouldn't say that in terms of chance creation they've been particularly poor. Sweden have a player down in their area, and it is Lustig, and it looks like he's pulled something in his groin. And a double substitution for Spain. Olmo is coming off, and I mentioned I'd like to see Oyarzabal come on. Well, he is coming on, but also another name I forgot to mention is Gerard Moreno, who scored 23 goals in La Liga for Villarreal this season. So many times he's been a big factor when it matters, not least in the Europa League final. Before he can do anything, the physicians tend to Lustig. Lustig, it's the end of his night. Emil Kraf of Newcastle comes on. And it's not a good goal kick by Robin Olsen. And the Swedish defenders can't control it. Into the penalty area and looped back into Olsen's gloves in no time. Again, it's Jordi Albert trying to create something on the left side. Pedri. He is in a Mazzala role tonight, drifting out wide from the position of the original position of an 8 or a 10, you could say. And technicality overcomes physicality there for Spain. So they have no difficulty controlling it. Thiago. Out to Alba. Lovely control. Remember, these two were teammates at Barcelona for a little while. Many years ago, but still. Well, the theory was that Spain would break Sweden and tire them out and then beat them. Sweden are not falling for it. Pedri now, these are some nice touches. But again, they're crowded out. And Sweden clear it away again. And again, play restarts from Spain's centre-backs. The ball floated in, punched out by Olsen. Pedri. Torres. Torres really advanced high up the pitch now as a centre-back. Almost a deep line playmaker more than anything. Sweden have it now. And the referee has stopped play. Spanish players down. And Sweden's player flat out here. He's cramped. Olsen couldn't balance himself, didn't feel like he could hold on to the ball. So out came his gloves to beat it away. And Luis Enrique felt it was coming. But the goal is still yet to arrive. Swedish fans approving of tonight's performance. And another substitution is in order. Sweden have it back. A ball floated over the top, but it's not of any danger. Easily gathered up by defenders, then goalkeeper. Thiago again. No matter how much he will age as a player, you can be assured his creativity will not decrease. And here's a man for the future, at least at club level, Pedri. Great feet, although he appears to have picked up a knock in the process. Alba, and drilled across the face, and still no one could find it. Unai Simon with the throw-in. Funnily enough, I don't know if I've seen that many times before, the goalkeeper taking the throw-in. Just how confident Spain are in possession that they can afford to do that. That pass hit way too far. And I was wrong. Another Swedish player I can see down with cramp. But I guess I was referring to the fact that they are still holding up. And still, they throw out. They force off whatever Spain may throw at them. We have, I think that's Sarabia changing his boots, or a boot. And time for Enrique to give final instructions, possibly, to his captain. As Christopher Olsen finally comes off the field. Jens Lies Kajust takes his place. And it's the end of the night for Emil Forsberg as well, as Pierre Benson comes on. Could be that Sweden are just simply going to sit back and absorb whatever pressure they can in the remaining 6.5 minutes plus stoppage time. It's a very warm night, and no doubt it's been sapping the energy of both players now, Sweden and Spain, but there is still time for something. something that could change the game. And if it's going to happen, who's going to provide it? Sometimes I wonder if Pedri has been playing too deep. It's better going forward. Here's Moreno though. Again, the cross doesn't find anybody. Alcantara finding Pedri again. Yes, again. Back to Jordi Alba. It'd be fascinating to see his the numbers of crosses and long balls he's thrown in. Another pass into the box through the middle and dipping, headed out. It's been very, very straightforward a lot of the time for these guys. Not sure what Alba was doing, but he was way out of position there. Here's Oyarzabal. Pedri, and I think that's Sweden's free kick. Larsen grabbing his ankle. And I think it's a final change for Spain, as Napoli's Fabian Ruiz, another great progressor of the ball through his passing, comes on for Koke. Another left-footer as well. I was looking at the numbers of left-footed players. Spain, even with a smaller squad, have quite a high number. I said that 1 in 4 players are left-footed. Spain, in this squad, it's 1 in 3. Here's obviously one of them, Jordi Alba. Alcantara may as well be left-footed sometimes. He's so technical. If this is the first time you're seeing him, if I didn't tell you, you wouldn't guess which is his preferred foot. Or maybe you would, because most of the time he has been passing on his right foot, but I tell you, on his left foot, he is not much worse. Lovely touches through to Jordi Alba now. That wasn't a nice touch from Oyarzabal. But Sweden have been doing this all game. Hooking the ball forward. Have Spain and Sweden have responded to pretty much every one of them. And some of the balls they don't even need to try to defend. Very easy to cover. I don't want to be a curse on this game again, but of course last time Spain played the opening match of their European Championship, they scored and won in the dying minutes in stoppage time against the Czech Republic. Here's Alba. Oh! And Gerard Moreno could have been that man. And the opportunity is missed once again. Great touch from Pedri. And to be fair to Moreno, he was being well covered from a central defender. Alba just onside, or an elbow offside. Not much that could be done from Moreno. The defender covered him very well. And I feel if Sweden can contain Spain, they might be able to contain more teams. They look very promising to reach the knockouts at least. Who knows, maybe topping the group isn't out of the question for Sweden. Based on the performance in this match, they've created some good chances themselves on the break. As I said, Poland and Slovakia will play very similarly against Spain. So if Spain don't play with this, play with the same starting 11 against those two nations, expect similar problems to arise. And knowing Enrique, I'm sure he will change the lineup a bit for the second group match. It's another good ball. Fantastic save from Olsen. Had very little time to react. And still, Sweden at every level doing what's required of them. Oyarzabal, now Alba. 6 added minutes. And we've played half of one so far. Oh. And it was Pablo Sarabia, another left footer. And that's such a devilish cross. And still, defender, goalkeeper. Sweden have done everything right tonight. Oh. Another failed shot as Spain will keep ramping up the pressure more and more and more over the remaining few moments of this match. It could well be that it's not enough. What a ball from Sarabia. He's not featured much for Paris Saint-Germain this season. You wouldn't know. If you looked at that cross, Enrique doing very well to contain his disappointments. Sarabia, of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, plays his football, used to play his football in Seville. Pedri's really coming on strong in the final moments of this match. The further forward he goes, the more of an impact he's making. Torres now. Oh, great ball. If Alba can control it, it will be promising. And again, a difficult ball, a difficult touch for Sarabia, and it's back into Robin Olsen, who stops it just on the goal line. And Alba did control it, but a defender was getting into the path of Sarabia, and he hit it with a very still leg. And surely Spain, if they don't score tonight, are going to create something serious against their next opponents. And Sweden similarly, I feel, will do well against their opponents. That's a very lazy pass from Albert. There were so many defenders in the way. Well, this tournament has had some really stunning games of late. The 5-goal thriller in Amsterdam between the Netherlands and Ukraine. All 5 goals coming in the second half, but still an excellent match once Wijnaldum kicked things off with his Strike from the goalkeeper's rebounds a few minutes into the second half. Today's game between Scotland and the Czech Republic was a fascinating example of how you can create so many chances, and it's still not enough, as Spain have found out tonight. And the Czech Republic definitely took theirs, especially that spectacular goal from the halfway line by Patrick Schick. It's the furthest goal the European Championships have seen, at least since 1980. There's still 90 minutes for Spain, though. Oyarzabal cutting in, and he's won a corner. Oyarzabal's delivery is good. He's even been one of the players that has been rumoured to, a couple of years ago, one of the players rumoured to replace Leroy Sané at Manchester City. In the end, it was effectively Torres. It's Thiago who delivers this corner, though. And it's wide. Olsen dived. He was beaten, though. And was Marino's shirt being grabbed as he jumped? Doesn't matter now. And Sweden, I'm sure, will try and keep the ball for as long as they can. And Olsen will spend as much time before he fires this pretty much into the opposite half. Spain have got it back pretty quickly. Pedri. One last chance for Spain. It's headed and controlled well, and then cleared out again before it can be volleyed. There's the whistle. On other days, this game would have been maybe not a very high-scoring affair, but would definitely have had a much more interesting scoreline. We have our first goalless game of the tournament at the 10th time of asking. Wouldn't be surprised if more follow. It was always going to happen before long, especially when the tournaments get longer and longer these days. No doubt these two sides will keep improving and will show their goal-scoring medal, at least in the remaining group games, as each of them take on Poland and Slovakia. But especially for Spain, hosting this match, this is not the start they wanted. And some questions will be asked. No doubt Enrique will be thinking about how to revise the lineup. At least it's not a defeat for Spain. Of course, they lost the opening game in 2010 and went on to win that World Cup in South Africa. Tonight, though, that won't be what they're thinking of. It's not a bad start. Both sides, though, will be considering where they can improve. Not only did Spain struggle to break down Sweden at times, they did also leak a couple of good chances themselves. Sweden definitely have a good platform going in front, going ahead themselves. And even for a 0-0, this wasn't a particularly disappointing game to cover. Still, we hope for more exciting games in the coming days. And that's the end of my coverage for tonight's match. I'll be covering one of the biggest games, maybe the biggest game of the group competition between two of the favourites for the tournament, as France take on Germany at the Allianz in Munich for their opening games in Group F, the Group of Death. And I will see all of you very soon. I'll see you in another 22 hours for that. But for these two sides, it's not been the best or the worst night. As I said, especially for Spain, they'll be hoping for better things, but I feel there is still good reason to believe that will come. And this isn't necessarily a straight-out marker that they aren't going to win the tournament. They can still improve from here. But the final score in Seville tonight is Spain 0, Sweden 0. It's good night from me, and I will see you all soon.